Hey everybody, welcome back to Sovereign Money. Today I need to warn you about a website that could cost you everything. It's called HashtoSeed.com. And while it might look like an innocent Bitcoin tool, it's actually one of the most dangerous things you can use with your cryptocurrency. Here's what makes it so appealing at first glance. Basically, it's a tool that allows you to type in any string of text, maybe your favorite song lyric, a religious verse, or a personal motto, and it instantly generates what appears to be a perfectly valid Bitcoin seed phrase. Think about how convenient that sounds. Instead of writing down 24 or 12 random words and keeping them super safe, you could just memorize something simple and recreate your wallet anytime you want, anywhere. No backup files, no paper to lose, no hardware to break. It seems like you've discovered the ultimate Bitcoin life hack. But here's what I'm going to show you today. This tool isn't just flawed, it's catastrophically broken. And the evidence suggests it might not even be by accident. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why HashtoSeed.com could be the fastest way to lose your Bitcoin. And I'll show you what you should do instead. If that sounds good, let's get to it. Let me show you exactly what we're dealing with here. I'm going to pull up HashtoSeed.com so you can see what you would see when you encounter the site. All right, after that really awkward sentence, here we are at HashtoSeed.com, and at first glance, it looks perfectly reasonable and professional. It's got a dark blue design with the Bitcoin logo prominently displayed on top here. One thing that I did notice that caught my attention that nobody else would really notice is that if you look at the top of the browser here, each tab I have open has a logo of the underlying site. It's hard to see on some of these, but basically this one does not have a logo associated with their site. So it's sort of a lack of attention to detail, in my opinion. Just caught my eye. And of course you can see the title, Bitcoin Seed Phrase Generator. So I guess I've come to the right place. Either way, it doesn't look like a sketchy scam site in any way. And notice how they structured the information. They have a how it works section, recommended usage section, and a Bitcoin seed phrase generator down here at the bottom with the instructions up here at the top. They recommend that you use a memorable passage that exists in multiple places. I don't know really what that would do for you. Actually, that would be a security risk, and can never be truly lost, such as favorite quote from a book, lyrics from a song, passage from a religious text, or a famous historical document. But they do offer a security tip, super important. Choose a passage that's meaningful to you, but not obviously associated with you. Avoid using easily guessable personal information. So instead of some personal information, which would be more random and more private, they suggest you use a quote from a classic book, like Moby Dick or Treasure Island or whatever. Some famous book, like the Bible. This gives the impression that they really care about your security. All right, I like it. Down below, you can see that there's a seed phrase generator itself. And like most seed phrase generators, you can check or select 12, 15, 18, 21, or 24 words. There's nothing to really raise any eyebrows at all. Let's go ahead and click on their technical documentation and see what's going on that page. Over on the second page, we have their technical documentation, understanding the process, the key advantages, how everything works under the hood. It's great. They're very open and transparent. And they even give you the code they use to generate these seed phrases. This is legit, right? And again, more suggestions for security. Choose text that's meaningful but not obvious, sufficiently long and unique, avoid personal information that can be guessed, and consider using a combination of multiple sources. Test your phrase multiple times to ensure you can reproduce it exactly. Anyone who knows or can guess your input can generate your seed phrase. Wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to be using a memorable passage that exists in multiple places, like lyrics from a song. And now they're telling me that anyone who knows or can guess my input can generate my seed phrase? That doesn't seem right. They even list some key advantages to using this tool. No need to physically store seed phrases. They've got you covered. Immune to physical destruction. A fire can't destroy your brain. A flood can't destroy your brain. Can be recreated anywhere, anytime, and no special hardware or software required except your brain and memory. and open source and verifiable. Wow, that's fantastic. So let's take a look at the code. First of all, having done a little coding myself, this is not generally accepted as the way that you include the BIP39 word list in your Python code. And that's what this code is, it's Python. They're importing some libraries. One of the libraries that you would import if you were going to generate a seed phrase would be the BIP39 word list, but not from a website. It would be from the Python libraries. Anyway, I am not a coder by any stretch, so maybe this is an alternative way to do it. Then there's some information on how the process works, and eventually they produce a 24-word seed phrase with this code. I've actually run this code, this Python code, on an online IDE, which is where you can run Python code, and it seems to function. And they even go as far as to explain how the whole process works. Your input text is hash using SHA-256, producing a 256-bit hash, like SHA-256-bit does. The hash is converted to a binary, okay? These bits are split into 24 chunks of 11 bits each, okay? Each 11-bit chunk represents a number between 0 and 2047. These numbers map to words on the word list, and they are assigned and created into a seed phrase. But when I read this, I said, but you can't just randomly pick the 12th or 24th word. It's called a checksum. The last word is selected from a very limited quantity of words. So that kind of got my attention, but I am not a Bitcoin coder. I just understand the process pretty well. And it caught my attention that they didn't mention checksum, but it doesn't mean that they're not calculating it. All right, let's go back and actually generate a seed phrase. Okay, I'm going to take a memorable phrase and just enter it in here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the USA. Generate a seed phrase, and there we go. There's our seed phrase. And what I can do is I can copy this, or you can download it, or I can create a QR, but there's already one here. And this is a 12-word seed phrase, of course, because I selected that up here. I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to go to an online mnemonic generator and just make sure that this seed phrase is good. Here we are at iancoleman.io /BIP39, and I'm going to paste the seed phrase into this form right here. And there we go. This is a legitimate seed phrase with legitimate addresses associated with whatever derivation you would like. Here's native SegWit, and you can send all your Bitcoin to this address, and I will send back double, I promise. Okay, so it's a valid seed phrase that it created. So the format of the seed phrase looks right. Everything seems legit. They even have another area for security information. And here's what makes this website so seductive. The website claims that because the process is deterministic, right here on their technical page, they talk about deterministic, the same input will always produce the same seed phrase. That's correct. This means you can recreate your seed phrase anywhere, anytime, as long as you remember your input text. To put this process in simpler terms, when you enter your memorable phrase, the website runs that text through something called a cryptographic hash function that they mention here in the How It Works section. Think of it like a super advanced blender. No matter what you put in, it always produces the same size output. And that output looks completely random. But because it's deterministic, the same input always creates the same output, even if it does look random. And if you change even one letter or add a period, you do get something completely different. Then this website takes that scrambled output and chops it up into smaller pieces. Each piece gets converted into a number, a decimal number, and those numbers are used to pick words from the BIP39 word list. It's the official list of 2,048 words that all legitimate Bitcoin wallets use. The final result is what you just saw, a string of words that looks identical to what you get from any professional hardware Bitcoin wallet. The words are real, the format appears correct, and it gives you that dangerous feeling of having discovered a clever shortcut. But here's where this seemingly clever system reveals itself as a perfect storm of security failures. Let's start with the most fundamental issue. And this one applies even if HashtoSeed worked as intended. Real Bitcoin wallets create seed phrases using what cryptographers call secure randomness. Imagine rolling dice thousands of times to pick your words. That's the level of unpredictability we're talking about. This randomness is what makes your seed phrase truly yours and unique. The chances of someone generating the exact same 24-word or 12-word combination
are so astronomically small
that it's effectively impossible. This website, HashtoSeed.com, throws that entire concept out the window. Instead of randomness, it uses predictability. It takes your memorable phrase and runs it through a formula anyone can replicate. Think about what this means in practice. If you use the lyrics from a famous song, "Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away," you're not the only Beatles fan who might think of that same phrase. In fact, that's exactly what makes it memorable. It's something that millions of people know and might think to use. And here's the terrifying part. An attacker doesn't need to guess what you used. They can simply write a computer program that tries thousands of popular quotes, song lyrics, religious verses, movie quotes, and famous sayings. They feed each one into the HashtoSeed code, generate the corresponding wallets, and check if it contains Bitcoin, all automatically. While they're sleeping, this kind of automatic attack is not only possible, it's inevitable. We know that attackers already scan the blockchain for wallets that are generated with weak entropy and predictable patterns. HashtoSeed makes this trivially easy by turning popular, memorable phrases into Bitcoin addresses. But wait, it gets worse than this conceptual problem. There are also technical features that make HashtoSeed broken at the most basic level. Let me show you why HashtoSeed fails as even the most basic Bitcoin tool. It gets a bit technical, but stick with me, because this is where we can prove HashtoSeed is fundamentally broken. Bitcoin seed phrases aren't just 12 or 24 words randomly thrown together. They follow a strict technical standard called BIP 39, which stands for Bitcoin Improvement Proposal 39, which includes something called a checksum. Think of this like the security features built into paper fiat money. The holograms and the fun things that you can see when you hold it up to the light. It's a way to verify what you have is legitimate. Here's how it works, basically. When a real wallet generates your seed phrase, the last few bits, literally the last few ones and zeros that make up the seed phrase, aren't random at all. They're calculated based on the previous 11 or 23 words, which creates a digital fingerprint. When you enter your seed phrase into any legitimate wallet, it checks this fingerprint. It's like holding a $100 bill up to the light. If something is wrong, if you've mistyped a word or misspelled something or put the words out of order, or if someone has tried to create a fake seed phrase, the wallet immediately knows it and rejects it. This is actually a critical safety feature. It means that if you accidentally write down the wrong word, or if someone tries to trick you with a fake seed phrase, your wallet will catch the error instead of creating a wallet that looks valid but isn't. Now, here's where HashtoSeed reveals its extreme incompetence, or perhaps its true intent. According to their own technical documentation, here's what they do. Your input text is hashed using SHA-256. The hash is converted to binary. These bits are split into chunks, and each chunk maps to words on the BIP 39 word list. But there's no mention of calculating the checksum. They completely skip this crucial step to seed phrase generation. So I decided to test this myself. I entered dozens and dozens of memorable phrases and then tried to import the resulting seed phrases into a real Bitcoin seed phrase generator. And the results were pretty shocking. Almost every single one was rejected as invalid. I only found a few phrases that actually created a valid seed phrase. One was, I pledge allegiance to the flag of USA. Then I looked up the top 10 Bible verses, and one of them actually worked. And ironically, HashtoSeed.com is a scam, ! Actually made a real seed phrase. But those worked purely by chance. So not only is HashtoSeed creating predictable seed phrases, it's creating invalid ones the vast majority of the time. Essentially, the tool doesn't work. And if it does, you're screwed. This tool is giving people a false sense of security while generating what amounts to mostly digital garbage. Let me paint you a picture of how this plays out in the real world, because understanding the human costs makes this much more serious than just a technical discussion. Imagine your friend Sarah, who's new to Bitcoin. You finally orange-pilled Sarah. She heard about seed phrases from you, and knows they're important, but the idea of keeping track of 12 or 24 random words seems a bit overwhelming. Then she discovers HashtoSeed.com on her own, and she thinks she's found the perfect solution. Sarah uses her favorite Bitcoin Bible verse: "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind," which shockingly generates a legitimate Bitcoin seed phrase on this tool. She feels brilliant. She got her Bitcoin security figured out, and she doesn't have to worry about losing a piece of paper, a backup, or a hardware device. She can recreate her wallet anytime by just remembering that Bible verse, Bitcoin Bible verse. Sarah puts all of her life savings of Bitcoin into this wallet and goes about her life completely confident of her security. But here's what Sarah doesn't know. The fact that she knows that Bible verse makes it one of the top 10 most popular Bible verses in the entire book. This phrase has been quoted millions of times, and it's exactly the type of phrase that would appear on any list of common, memorable Bible quotes. And that's exactly where I found it. Meanwhile, across the internet, criminal groups are running automated programs and bots 24/7. These programs take these popular phrases and Bible verses, run them through a codebase like HashtoSeed, and check the resulting wallets for Bitcoin. The moment Sarah deposits her Bitcoin, it's essentially gone. The criminal's automated system finds it within hours, if not minutes, and transfers her Bitcoin to their wallets. And Sarah has no idea until she tries to access her wallet just to see how much money she's made today and realizes it's empty. This isn't a far-fetched scenario either. This is likely happening to people right now. Up to now, you might think HashtoSeed might be the work of an incompetent developer who doesn't understand Bitcoin security. But what I discovered next made me question whether this is just pure incompetence or something more sinister. I decided to investigate who actually owns and operates HashtoSeed.com. So I did what's called a who is search, and you can see it right here, for HashtoSeed.com. And there's some domain information here at the top. When it was registered, January of 2025, this year. And some information here, registered through GoDaddy. And they have an abuse phone number right here, which is very similar to this number down here, which is weird because this number, or this number here, is associated with the privacy protector, which is domains by proxy. And a lot of people register their domains with privacy, and maybe the person who registered this doesn't know that their privacy is sort of being farmed out to a third party called domains by proxy. But this is the number to get in touch with domains by proxy. So I took that number, and you can see it again down here, the technical contact, and I searched for domains by proxy, and sure enough, that is their contact information right here. This is an example of a public registrant, but what they do is they provide privacy for people who pay them an annual fee, domains by proxy, and then they show up as the registrant of that domain. So we go back here. Here's the number, 480-624-2599. Now, that might sound familiar to some of you or look familiar because I looked it up again and found it listed 23 user reports of this number, 480-624-2599, associated with Apple impersonation scam, scammers from India. This number is being used to scam people, domain squatting and holding my domain ransom. Oh my gosh, it just goes over and over and on and on and on, including cryptocurrency scams. So this phone number that this domain, HashtoSeed.com, has a weak link to through their privacy provider, has a phone number that's associated with multiple scams on the internet. Now, this could be a coincidence. Maybe the phone number was recycled. Maybe the scammers hijacked that number for their own personal use. Or maybe there's some other innocent explanation. But when you combine this with the technical incompetence, or perhaps technical deception of the tool itself, a disturbing pattern emerges. Think about it. If you were a criminal and wanted to steal Bitcoin, what would be the perfect scam? You'd create a tool that appears to generate legitimate seed phrases that actually creates predictable weak ones that you can easily crack. And it's an online tool. Maybe the tool itself is communicating with the servers. You'd make people think they're extra smart and secure while actually making them completely vulnerable. You'd want your victims to feel confident enough to put actual Bitcoin into these wallets, but naive enough not to understand the security implications of what they're actually doing. When a tool is this fundamentally broken at a security level, combined with registration connected to known scammer phone numbers, it really makes you wonder, is this intentional? I can't prove intent, but I can tell you this. Whether it's criminal incompetence or criminal intent, the result is the same. People are going to lose their Bitcoin. In a lot of ways, using this tool is worse than doing nothing at all, because at least people with no security know they're vulnerable and might take proper precautions. HashtoSeed users think they've got everything handled, so they don't seek out real security solutions. And that false confidence could cost them everything they own. Now that I've thoroughly scared you away from HashtoSeed.com, let me show you the right way to generate Bitcoin seed phrases. These methods actually work and will keep your Bitcoin safe and secure. The absolute best way to generate a secure Bitcoin seed phrase is with a dedicated hardware wallet like Ledger, Trezor, or Blockstream Jade. These devices are built for one specific purpose, keeping your Bitcoin secure. Here's why they're so much better than an online tool. Hardware wallets generate your seed phrase in a completely air-gapped environment. Your seed phrase is created offline and never touches an internet-connected device, so it can't be compromised or intercepted during creation. The device itself is designed specifically for secured key generation and storage, with no other functions that could introduce vulnerabilities. Now, that's not to say that all hardware wallets are 100% secure. For example, a few months ago, a Chinese man lost $6.9 million, his entire life savings of crypto, when he used a compromised hardware wallet that he bought off of the Chinese version of TikTok. He said he was trying to save a few bucks. And this proves that not all cold hardware wallets are perfectly safe. So please be careful. If you need to generate seed phrases on your computer and you know what you're doing, there are legitimate tools that use proper cryptographic randomness. Let me be clear. These should only be used by experienced users on offline computers. I'm going to give you two well-established, trusted options. One is Ian Coleman's BIP39 tool at iancoleman.io/BIP39. This is the most respected browser-based seed generator in the Bitcoin community. It's been audited, it's open source, and it uses your browser's built-in cryptographically secure random number generator. Let's take a look at it. Now, before you do anything with this, a couple things. Number one, go to File, save the page as, and you want to save it as this. It's going to be the complete web page. You can title it whatever you want, but you want to, the format is the complete web page. Then you save it, you double click it, and you open it. It's going to open in your browser in a tab, but the address is going to be completely different than this. This is connected to the internet. Now, I'm not saying Ian Coleman's seed phrase generator is collecting data at all, but it's best to run this on a offline computer and run the device offline to avoid any potential connection with any servers. I'm not going to do that because just making a video, but basically you select the number of words, press generate, and you generate a seed phrase here. You can also paste a seed phrase in here and check the validity. So let's do that real quick. So I'm going to go back to HashtoSeed.com. We're going to type a memorable phrase in here. Let's see, not your keys, not your coins. Generate. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to run over to Ian Coleman's form and paste this in. And there we go. Invalid mnemonic. I have done this hundreds of times. I've only found 3 that actually create a valid seed phrase. And surprisingly, HashtoSeed.com is a scam, works. I don't know if that's an Easter egg or what. It's pretty funny though. So let's go back to HashtoSeed, paste that in, generate that seed phrase, copy it, go back over to BIP39 generator here, paste that in, And there we go. No more warning about an invalid seed. And there you go. So you can use this for all of your Bitcoin if you want. I'm not going to. Now, there's another online seed phrase generator based on this one through the company OneKey, which is a reputable Bitcoin hardware wallet company. And you can do the same thing there. Paste your code in and check the validity. And of course, this is the same seed phrase and it's valid. Or you can generate one here. Again, download it, save it to your computer, run it on a clean computer, preferably one that is offline and been completely factory reset. Okay, here's what separates these legitimate tools from tools like HashtoSeed.com. They use true randomness instead of predictable inputs. Let's go back to the OneKey recovery phrase converter. I'm going to refresh the page. And what I wanted to show you is when you generate a seed phrase, 12-word seed phrase, if you go into this area here, show entropy details, you'll see they list the entropy. This is the random number that was used through some cryptographic operations to create this binary number, which is broken up into 11-bit chunks. And you can see the last one is shorter. It's not 11 bits because there's a checksum. So this is 4 bits short. There's the 4 bits. They're added to the end, and it creates the last word right here, which is spawn. And I'm going to show you another website related to that, and it is 12th Word Finder. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this seed phrase. We're going to paste it into that other site right here. And we're going to delete that last word. Now, the BIP39 word list that this seed phrase was created with has 2,048 words. This is a very limited selection. 64 of them are available to use as this 12th word with these as the first 11. Isn't that interesting? Because of the checksum. So the only words that work as a 12th word, and you can pick them, are any of these. There you go. That's the checksum. And that's what HashtoSeed is not doing, which is why it creates so many invalid seed phrases. None of these seed phrase converters or generators ask you to type in a memorable phrase. Instead, they generate genuine random entropy that creates an unpredictable, unique seed phrase that only you will ever see or have. Well, and all the other people that watch this video. So, if a tool promises to make Bitcoin security easy to remember or convenient, a red flag should go up immediately because, unfortunately, it's not easy or convenient at this time. Real security for your Bitcoin requires real randomness, and real randomness isn't memorable by definition. In conclusion, HashtoSeed is not just a bad tool, it's a dangerous one. It fails to implement basic Bitcoin security standards, fortunately produces invalid seed phrases most of the time, but when it does work, it leaves you completely exposed to theft. The evidence surrounding its operators raises serious questions about whether this is simple incompetence or deliberate criminal intent. Frankly, I don't want to risk my Bitcoin to find out the difference. If you've already used HashtoSeed to create a wallet, stop what you're doing, drop your fork, and move the Bitcoin out of that wallet immediately if it's still there. Generate a new seed phrase using a legitimate method and transfer your funds to a properly secured wallet. Every minute you wait is a minute automated systems could discover and empty your wallet. For everyone else, remember, Bitcoin security exists for a reason. The inconvenience of backing up a random seed phrase is nothing compared to the devastation of losing your Bitcoin to a predictable one. Use a real hardware wallet, generate your seed phrase offline with proper randomness, and never ever trust shortcuts that promise to make Bitcoin security as easy as remembering your favorite quote. Your financial future is worth doing this right. Don't let a tool like HashtoSeed turn your Bitcoin investment into someone else's payday. That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay sovereign. I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to pull up HashtoSeed.com so you can see what you would see if you just, oh my God. So you can see what you would see, oh my God. So we can see what we will, real book. astronomically small that it, by turning popular, memorable it gets a bit technical. Oh my God. It gets a bit technical. I can't say it. Technical. There we go. Now here's where HashtoSeed reveals now that I've is what one is Ian Coleman's BIP39 seed phrase mnemonic tool. One is oh my God. One is HashtoSeed is just not raises serious questions about whether this is serious incompetence. Oh my God. Generate a new seed phrase using that promised to make Bitcoin security as easy. In conclusion, I give up.